of days ago, in my inbox, there came an article off of Substack by Michelle Barr, who is some kind of spiritual coach or something. This is a new person to me. And the article was called, "The Spiritual Coaching Industry is Collapsing and Something Much Deeper is Emerging." And as someone who is in the consciousness business, as someone who does counseling as a minister, it caught my attention, and I thought, what is it that she has to offer? And so what she talked about in this article, that over the last 20-ish years or whatever of the coaching industry, the spiritual coaching industry, that there is a message that is starting to get really diluted because there's a convergence that's taking place. And so where a lot of people are offering a lot of promises, like, make a ton of money, 6 figures, 7 figures, it's about alignment, it's about manifestation, it's about these quantum leaps, or even the languaging is like starting to get really, really samey. People are talking about alignment. People are talking about authenticity. We're talking about that here, right? About being soul-led, the divine feminine, and about all the different dimensions that we're now, should be tuning into and whatever. And so what she's inviting us to do is, as this is happening and the diluting of this message of what is it that we're here to do and who are we really, is to lean into this question, which is, what is the deeper work I am actually here to do? Okay? And so I'm going to pivot for just a second, and I'm going to go to recently on Netflix, or off Netflix, I watched a documentary about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Anyone here know that band? Come on, at least one person? Sort of. Come on, bass player? No, okay, yes. So I used to love the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the 80s and the 90s, and I actually went to look at my albums and was surprised that only one was on vinyl and the rest were on CDs. But the reason that this was such a cool... Has anyone seen this documentary? Okay, it is worth a watch. If you're a Chili Peppers fan, it is worth a watch because, yes, there's a whole bunch of sex, drugs, and rock and roll in there, but it is also a very tender and heartwarming look at the epic friendship between the lead singer, the guitar player, and the bass player, and the original guitar player, Hillel Slovak. And so these 3 guys, they met in high school, and it was actually Anthony Kiedis and Flea, the frontman and the bass player, who were friends first. And then they went to a concert at the school, and this band of, high school guys was playing, and they were blown away by this rock band, even though Flea was more into jazz. But they were blown away by this rock band because of how incredibly tight they were, like just really, really, really good together. And clearly it was because they practiced. But the person who blew them away the most was the guitar player, Hillel. And so fast forward a few weeks or something like that, and these 2 guys are bumming around, Hollywood Boulevard or something, and they need to get somewhere, and they're trying to hitch a ride. And the person that comes to pick them up, or they go running after this car, it's Hillel Slovak. And in that car ride, as they go to wherever they wanted to go, a friendship, like an even deeper friendship between the 3 of them, never mind the 2 of them, is born. And the thing that connected all of them, including Anthony Kiedis and Flea at the beginning, is music. And their love of music. All different kinds of music, not just like really hard, funky, groovy stuff that they got into when they became the band, but all kinds of music. And so they would admittedly just get high and listen to all kinds of records and stuff. But there was this incredible connection because they recognized this artistry, this creativity in this music that they were listening to that was also alive in them. And so as their friendship developed, then Flea ended up learning how to play the bass so that he could join Hillel Slovak's band because the bass player wasn't working out. And they started doing some crazy things. And then Anthony Kiedis kind of became their MC for that band. And eventually, the 3 of them, along with the drummer from the band that they were already in, formed the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And so as they became sort of like an overnight success because they were doing something so different, so new, and so authentic, Like they were just showing up as the creativity that they felt they were, and they were just doing it because they wanted to, because they had to, because it had to unleash itself through them. Then as they sort of, went on this incredible, amazing roller coaster of becoming the Red Hot Chili Peppers super fast and super big, they got caught up in all of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And the more they started to focus on that and chasing the success and trying to figure out how to be successful, the more they lost the connection that brought them together in the first place. The more they lost the connection to themselves, to the music, and then to each other. And eventually, because of all of this up and down, especially with heroin, Hillel Slovak ended up dying. So the point here is that when surrendering to creativity and love and allowing that to guide them, they literally rocked. But then when they started to shift their focus, and it was unintentionally and kind of happened slowly, but when they started to shift their focus away from the knowing of who and what they are, and they wouldn't have used the word love at the time, although Flea did use the word love many times in the documentary. When they got caught up in the wanting and the desiring and the chasing, then that connection that brought them together in the first place severed. And it was kind of sad to watch because there was just this incredible bond. I mean, at one point, Flea says that they found family in each other. And it wasn't just because they hung out together as a trio, especially at Hillel's family's house, because he had an incredible mom and there was an incredible sense of connection and community and family and caring there. Whereas with Flea and Anthony, their homes were not so much. But they found that family in each other, right? Like what exists within them. And so because they had this incredible bond, that bond was strengthened because of what they recognized in each other and what they then amplified together as a threesome. And so going back to Michelle Barr's article on the spiritual coaching industry is collapsing, blah, 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 she's talking about something very similar. She's talking about that there is this shift and a need to move away from wanting and chasing and desiring success, thinking that it looks a certain way, like who said this is exactly how success is supposed to look and feel, and instead to turn within and tune in to intuitive knowing, to your inner authority, to self-reliance. And so the title of my talk tonight is Tuning In, Trusting Your Inner Authority. And so this is about stopping to trying and figure everything out and just trust. And so I can't remember exactly what it is that Stephanie said, but this is about letting go of like, this is how it should look. This is how it should be. I got to figure out all the steps before it can get done, before it can happen. And just know that, okay, yes, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of steps and whatever, but there is that in me that knows. There is that in me that is this incredible, amazing guidance system and compass that I can rely on at any time. But here's the thing. That thing, it exists. But if you don't know how to work it, you're not going to be able to tune into it very well, right? And in order to learn how to use it, you got to practice. And so this is part of our work, our spiritual practice, to do whatever it is that we can do to tune in. So that when we aren't feeling like the love that we're certain that we are, or we're not even certain that we are the love that we are, we've practiced enough that there is still something within us that knows, and we can depend on that. We can trust that. And that comes with time. Just like anything that we practice, whether it's a musical instrument, whether it's dancing, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's writing, whether it's painting, whether it's whatever, even a relationship, right? That takes practice. It takes work. It's not something that just automatically happens on its own. So it's important that we have our spiritual practices. It's important that we immerse ourselves on a daily basis in whatever it is that allows us to continue to expand, but to also really anchor in the knowing of who and what we are. And whether we call it love, whether we call it creativity, whether we call it infinite potentiality, whatever it is that works for us, we got to do it. And it'll change from time to time. So in her article, she says, it is learning how to trust and refine your own perception. It is learning how to distinguish intuition from projection. So it's about listening to what's in here. It's about tuning in. It's about getting into the body, getting out of this part of the brain and getting into the middle prefrontal cortex so that we can be aware, we can be focused, we can be clear, we can be in the present moment. And when we're in the present moment, we are so much better equipped to hear and feel and experience what it is that exists within us, that is the essence of our being, that is forming and informing every single thought, every single belief, every single choice, every single story that we tell, all of it. And when we practice and practice and practice tuning in, then we become better at it. And then when we have moments like that, the shift from feeling, to, okay, becomes shorter and shorter and shorter because it becomes more automatic. She also writes, in the coming decade, the most trusted leaders will not simply be the loudest voices or the most visible influencers. They will be the ones who have cultivated internal authority. Going back about 10 years when I first started foundational studies, there was a course that I took, and I was introduced to Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he has an essay on self-reliance. And that entire essay is about trusting this. Stop listening to this. Stop asking people for advice and instructions and opinions and whatever, and just trust the knowing of your being. Because it knows. It knows, which means that you know. But in order to recognize that knowing, in order to hear it when it's talking to you, when it's coming through your body or however it is that you connect to it, you got to practice. You got to learn how to hear, how to feel, how to interpret, how to perceive. So this month, we are living with the certainty that love is our true nature. Again, this fabulous sweatshirt that the board gave me as a gift. And there are so many different ways to do that, and it'll look different for everyone. But coming together in community is one, because if we're not feeling it in the moment, then we have people around us that we can lean on. If we're on our own and we're not feeling it in the moment, then it's important to have practices and tools that we can lean on so that we can come back and ground and anchor and center ourselves in this certainty so that whatever it is that we're navigating, and there could be a lot of stuff, whatever it is that we're navigating as the love we are rather than from all of the stuff that's going on around us. So to end, the point of this talk is I'm inviting us all to practice self-reliance. I'm inviting us all to listen and tune into our inner authority more wholly, more regularly, more consistently. Because intuitive wisdom is part of our inherent makeup. We're born with it. And I'm not even going to say that we forget it. It's just our attention ends up going elsewhere. We just start buying something else because we're paying attention differently. I don't know if we can forget. That's a curiosity for me, okay? I don't know if we can truly forget. I think we're just looking at something else momentarily. And so the more that we allow for that intuitive wisdom to guide us, the more we practice, the more committed we are to tuning into that knowing, the more confident we become. Okay? We don't find confidence first and then go about doing everything. We have to be consistent with our practice first, whatever it is that we're practicing, our spiritual evolution or otherwise, even though all of it's spiritual. And the more committed we are, the more practiced we are, then the more confident we get. And the more confident we get, then we get to experience the peace that comes with that certainty of knowing that love is our true nature. So my invitation for all of us is, how are we going to practice? How are we going to practice more consistently? How are we going to tune into our inner authority more consistently? And how are we going to become more self-reliant? Thank you, and so it is.